today, to show that I'm not a complete godless heretic, and to test out a new document camera I got, I figure I'd show a few of my models from my actual Astartes Legion. These are all Primaris. They're a homebrew chapter. I call them the Leshen. I stole the name shamelessly from the Witcher series and from Eastern European folklore. The Leshy or the Leshen, it's the giant forest monster with the horns. Seems like most cultures have some form of mythology concerning some sort of a beast kind of like this, and in the US and the Native American tribes and everything, it goes by the W word, the word that I won't say because I'm a little superstitious about it. But to quickly go over a few of these models, see how they work on this camera as I prepare to start Project Snakebite, so I can actually film some of the conversions and a little bit of the painting. So without further ado, let's start taking a look at some of these models. So here is the captain for my force. He is a captain in Gravis armor. Paint scheme is a Panzer Gray, I believe, from Vallejo, with contrast on the cloak, which is Pterodon turquoise. And I got some mud effects and everything on the base, kind of weather them out. And then on the shoulder pad, and I realize this is on the wrong shoulder pad, but his cloak's over the other one. Got the, let's see if we can get a little closer, the wild hunt symbol, like the stag, like the skull of the antlered stag. So it was a pretty fun model to paint. I'm pretty happy with it. So, but you can't have a command structure without discipline, so you need a chaplain. And here's my chaplain. He started life out of the Indominus box in a different paint scheme. He was originally part of my Purple Marines, but being that he's the chaplain, he still had the black armor, has the insignia on the correct pauldron, and sometimes you need to DoorDash your litanies, so that's why we've got a chaplain on a bike. Straight off a Judas Priest cover. He's ready to dispense the Emperor's justice and protect the sanctity of his brothers. So that takes care of the spiritual needs, but what about the physical needs of your Marines? And that's why I've got my apothecary. So here he is. He again used to have a little bit different color scheme, and I went out and redid him once I came up with my idea for running the Leshen. Kind of tough to make out, but you may be able to see on the side of his face. On the side of his face there, he's got his little tattoo. All the Leshen, they have traditional blue ink tattoos on their face. So if you see any of the guys rocking a bare head, they've got tattoos on their face. Here's my Phobos librarian, Conan the Librarian, of course, because that is best in life. This mini I actually had to strip and redo because he was part of that other army I'd been working on. But again, just the Pterodon turquoise and a lot more leather exposed on this with the Phobos models. Try to do a little work on his force sword. I'm not an expert on doing power weapons or force weapons, so. And then sometimes you just need a lieutenant. So, got my Phobos lieutenant here. Again, with the marking on the shoulder. So this is a pretty interesting model to paint. The Phobos stuff, yeah, I don't know. I like the way it looks. I don't know if I necessarily like the way it performs on the table, but still a pretty cool model. Getting past that HQ type stuff, here's my Blade Guard veteran. So these guys have a little bit different kind of shield setup. Instead of the standard shield, I went with a boarding shield, and he's also got the Wild Hunt insignia on the boarding shield. I got these from Pop Goes the Monkey. I didn't have a 3D printer at the time, so I outsourced it, but I'm pretty happy with the helmets. Were also from Pop Goes the Monkey. They've got a kind of like a dour skull face on them. And one of the cool things about the paint that I used, any of the green paint that I used on this, is it actually will glow in the dark. So if it's a dimly lit room or a dark room, you can see their little power weapons glistening, which is kind of neat. Onto some troops. Here's my heavy intercessor sergeant. Got him with a little bit of bushes or brush there. That's just part of an abrasive sponge that I cut out and flared up and then did a little dry brush and work on, you know. He's got a bare head, but since he has dark skin, it's kind of tough to see the tattoo on his head, but he's also got one of those facial tattoos. But the heavy intercessors are just chonky boys. It's a really sweet looking model. On to other troops. I've got one of my infiltrators here. He's the sergeant. You can see he's got the blue markings on his face. Probably tough to see. Delivery of the lesson on his shoulder. Calling people out to go do something. I'm not exactly sure what. The time that I first made these guys, I had the idea that they were going to be maybe a Dark Angel successor. So I did the standard thing where you have different color palettes for, say, your Green Wing, your Raven Wing, and your Death Wing. So this color scheme here on this Outrider is what I was going to use for my Raven Wing. And it's just the Pterodon turquoise over a lead belcher base, so it's still got a little bit of a metallic sheen to it. And then they totally suspiciously do not look like Alpha Legion with these color combinations as well. So there's definitely no doubt that the Leshen are a completely 100% Codex compliant loyalist chapter, no doubt in my mind. And the last one that I'm going to look at is my Storm Speeder here, again in the same color scheme as the Outriders. More of the livery for the Leshen there. This is one of the first models that I airbrushed, at least pretty early on. I'm still learning, but it's just so much nicer on vehicles when you can use an airbrush to get a nice even coat on them. But I'm pretty pleased with how he turned out. I even did a rudimentary attempt to do a little bit of work on the controls. You could probably see a little bit of the work on the controls in there, and then just some airbrush effects on the grav plating. But yeah, so that's just a test for this old boomer to check out how this camera works and to see how these models look on camera, and to show you all that I'm not a complete heretic. As I said before, I do have some Space Marines, and I enjoy painting them, and I enjoy the lore behind them. Honestly, when it comes down to playing them on the table, they're just not as, I don't know, it's just the allure for me isn't quite as much there. I think maybe I haven't found the right rule set or tactics or play style with the regular loyalist Marines that I do with, say, like the Death Guard or the Orcs or whatever. I just don't enjoy the play style quite as much, even though I realize they're very flexible. So for any of y'all that watch this little test, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully I'll get started on actually working Project Snakebite and getting it ready for some videos to be produced. I gotta get converting, I gotta get priming, and I gotta get painting. So with that said, Wolverines!